Thank you.
Good morning. So this is going to be our April 21st Tuesday Zoom morning meeting. We're going to start off, and so let me re-explain this question. I know some of you guys were asking about question number 16 on your test. So it says, how many squares cover the rectangle? Now, if you count these squares, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, because it's asking how many squares cover this rectangle. So we see 1 here, 2, 3, and 4. Now, some of you guys, your question is, well, technically, this is a rectangle. You guys think this is the rectangle, and then this is like this whole thing is the square. So you think that the answer is 2 because you cut it in half. However, that is not correct. Now, if you guys remember, a rectangle is always a square is always going to be a rectangle. So technically that if you guys were saying, well, this is a square, Miss Parker, Miss Dominguez, so, and it's asking you about covering the rectangle. Well, technically every square is a rectangle. In order for what a rectangle is going to be a shape. It's going to be a quadrilateral shape that has equal sides, equal lengths on each side. So the length on this side and this side is equal. The length on this side and this side is equal. As long as the parallel sides are equal, then it's considered a rectangle. So every square is considered a rectangle. So this is considered a rectangle, guys. Okay, so how many squares cover the rectangle? This is the rectangle. How many squares cover it? And so you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully that helps. If you guys have any questions, you guys can message us again and we can review it. But let's go ahead and go on to our schedule for Tuesday. So, Ms. Dominguez, would you like to hop on?
Sure, sure. All right. I hope everybody enjoyed the story yesterday that we read on the art lesson or the art project, and what the children did to be of help and end up really winning, so to speak, the prize. But it took team effort. All right. So just to keep that in mind, and they went over the words with you. And what's really nice with our reading of the story, you can have it auto. And I like that too, but also read also with the story or afterwards. All right. Um, they didn't have any money. They couldn't buy anything, so they used what they had. So let's say, and today it says make prediction on the lessons that we're going to do. On this, when they make a prediction, you know what? When you think of a way that they're doing it, you don't have to be right in the beginning. You have your way of thinking, and that's okay, but you use the clues to get you close. And it says on there, I read that the kids thought they could use recycled materials. This made me revise my prediction. I changed it. I thought maybe one of the other people's ideas was good, but the class voted again, the class voted. So a prediction is a good guess. You try to figure out what would be the best, easiest way to come up with this case, a solution, because they did have a problem, which brings us to problem and solution. In the story, you're trying to figure out how they're going to solve what they cannot buy, and they only can work with things that are in the room. So what they decide to do is to come up with a solution. Your problem was to figure out a way. And what these children did, the problem was, how are they going to use materials? How are they going to get them? They certainly can't ask anyone for money. And part of that is when you come to a certain point and you've asked for money for different things, trying to ask again makes it a little hard. So you look around your room, and that's what they did. And they began to show you through your pages that you have from your turn workbook. What they came up with was the problem, solution. Now, they didn't list everything. They just gave you one idea because other children had some ideas as well. And then the solution was they did vote on it and then decided that they had enough materials in the recycle box and such that they can use. So that is one way that you will know when you're trying to solve something. Clues are given throughout the story. You can't figure it out without that help. All right, so making predictions, you had a problem, you solved it, and we move on to fiction. This story was fiction. And what that meant was, Makai, do you like that? What that is that it tells, these characters are imaginary. All right, you could have any amount of characters that you wanted, but they're imaginary, and so is the events. It does state a problem, and you have to figure out a solution. And you really start looking at dialogue, where you use your quotation marks when people are speaking. You could have a lot of kids speaking, or you can have 2 or 3 speaking. But when you start talking, that's the conversation part. That is where the person is stating his words and giving an idea. And look here, dialogue. The word that the character speaks, the words are set inside in quotation marks. So you have to remember to do that. The characters talk to each other. They're giving maybe their opinion, they're giving their idea. They may not agree with you, but you have to do it in that way. Nathan, thanks. All right, so you please make sure, and it says in your turn, find 2 more examples showing how you know this story is fiction. So keep that in mind, and you can always come back and look at the story online. All right, so that's fiction, imaginary characters and events, and you use dialogue, and you have a problem and a solution. All right, now homophones, I love these, and people have sometimes forget. Homophones are words that sound the same, but have very different spelling and different meanings. All right, they give you the example here from Finding Evidence. They use the word whole, meaning H-O-L-E, and whole, W-H-O-L-E, but it still sounds alike. However, the one with W-H-O-L-E means like a whole loaf of bread, the whole part. Where if I said if I say H-O-L-E, that means there may be a hole in my shoe or a hole in the ground. Could you, and I love this one, in your whole piece of bread, could you have a hole in it? Yeah. So you're going to notice words, and I know you know this, like here they use that the whole class was disappointed. All right, that means everyone in that room wasn't happy. Now, you know words like see and see, and bear and bear, and two, those are all homophones. And you want to make sure that you're using them correctly and spelling them correctly. In your turn booklet or papers, it shows you here was C and then won. He won the race, or one cookie was missing from the plate. So that would be O-N-E. There are so many of these, and this is under vocabulary strategy. I should have mentioned that. So when you make a list or you're just playing around, you'd be stunned how many homophones there are. All right, and then the last section is write about the text. This little girl named Hannah wrote about what she was going to be talking over with Pablo. Write a dialogue between Pablo and his friends. Maybe she's going to make herself as one of the friends later. But here's what she wrote. You'll notice dialogue, quotation marks. Be sure that you use them. And then in your turn, it says, I should go back. It says details. Use the detail about what Grace said from the story. Her strong conclusion. That's really important because you want to make clear what was decided by whom, the group, one person, what. So dialogue, put those quotation marks. All right. Any questions, anyone?
Just remember, guys, that this is as long as you guys are reading the pages, all of these other your turn things are optional. You do not need to do them as long as you've read them and understand them. However, if you want to do that extra work, that's awesome. For example, today for your writing, you could do this. Write a dialogue between Pablo and his mom that happens after the class wins the prize. You guys can do that as you're writing. You guys can do it right here under your binder and then submit it. Or you can do it in a journal or a notebook. It's fine. I noticed that another student had a question in Ms. Dominguez's class about the selfie writing and if they need to do the selfie writing. You do not need to do the selfie writing or the COVID-19 time capsule. Those are all optional. As long as you're writing, we don't care what you guys, where you guys write it, as long as you guys are writing each day, okay? If you want help with your writing, like if you want us to check your writing or to fix your writing, then you can send it into your teacher and we can help you with it. But we will be doing writings with you guys like on Thursday. So we still are teaching you guys writing lessons. Like this is a writing lesson here. But we don't have to check your writing unless you guys want us to, okay?
Ms. Park, the one thing is that some of the children borrowed computers from school.
Mm-hmm.
They still can get on, am I correct? And I believe this is right. They can still get on and do the selfies if they like, if they go to class dojo, am I correct?
We have to go to Google Classroom.
Google Classroom, excuse me. Okay, my kids? And if that's not what you wish, certainly we're proud because you're writing, be it journals, selfies, whatever. We practice on Thursdays with you because we want you to be good writers and you will be writing. So you can go back and look at the videos. It is up to you. I think some of you would feel better knowing that you can check and we're not always with you. So do know that the videos will have that information for you.
So everything Ms. Dominguez just shared right now is going to be the strategies you guys are going to be working on in your turn workbooks. This is your workbook pages, your turn workbook pages. So you've got the fiction, which is your genre, dialogue, which was like one of the skills that you guys learned, problem and solution, which is one of your strategies, and then the homophones, which was one of your vocabulary strategies. And then the next page is your draft model. So this is adding linking words and connecting ideas. And then this one is going to be using text evidence to be able to find linking words, details, text evidence, and contractions. Okay, so here are all the answers. And then if you guys have any extra questions, just let us know.
Okay.
All right.
All right, don't forget to read on your own. Try that anymore. Can you how many can you jump in a minute? Maybe 2. That's terrific, means and ways. All right, let's go on and let's look at math. And I want to talk that over with you. Let's take a look at 16 topic. We're going to go to lesson 2. We're working with clocks right now. Okay. And let's take a look at what it has to say about clocks today. And wonder, do all of you have a standard clock somewhere in your house? Okay. Why isn't it? Just the voice.
At the times. How many minutes after the hour is each time? Let's find out. What time does the first clock show? The first clock shows 1:15. How many minutes after 1 is this time? It is 15 minutes after 1. You can also say 1:15. What time does the next clock show? The next clock shows 1:30. How many minutes after 1 is this time? It is 30 minutes after 1. You can also say 1:30. What time does the last clock show? The last clock shows 1:50. It is 50 minutes after 1. You can use the word after to tell each time. Times after the half hour are often read as times before the next hour. Times after the half hour refer to times from 30 to 59 minutes after the hour. What time does the first clock show? The first clock shows 3:30. How many minutes before 4 is this time? It is 30 minutes before 4. What time does the next clock show? The next clock shows 3:45. How many minutes before 4 is this time? It is 15 minutes before 4. You can also say 4:45. What time does the last clock show? The last clock shows 3:50. How many minutes before 4 is this time? It is 10 minutes before 4. You can use the word before to tell each time. You have learned how to tell time using after and before.
Boys and girls, when you look at the hands on the clock, remember, look at the shorter hand is the hour, and it doesn't move as quickly as the minute hand. Remember that. It kind of ticks slowly. But look here, and this is what I want to show you. Some people get confused, like if it's here or here as it's moving around in that 5-minute parts. All right, you'll notice it's 6:45. Some people get a little confused and want to say the 7, but it's not there yet. It's right in between on one of the little spaces. So be careful. If you notice on this at 6:30, notice how that hand is is just a tad over. All right, but it's 6:30. Be very careful when you look at the hands, especially because these are standard clocks. But these are our nice sheets for you to do. Some of you were saying that you didn't have certain papers or certain things. It's quite all right. As long as you're doing these, some people ask if they can print them. If it says you can, go for it. We're not going to score them for you, but we will want you to do them if you can. And the reason being, here's practice. And then there's, let's say you really don't do well on that. You can go to reteaching. You can go to enrichment. These are fun. They're all throughout the program. So do it. It's really a great tool just for the fun of doing it yourself, and it will help you with the clocks. And that's why we want you to be careful with 30 minutes, 50 minutes, 10 minutes too. It's how you say it. Then go and do the quick check. But please don't go to do the just quick check just to do it. Please go through the lessons first, because I want your scores high and I want you to have a good understanding before you do it. All right? So there's some wonderful sheets here for you to do. It's great. And I really like it because it is what you would be doing with us. Okay? So if you have any questions, after we get done, you're most welcome to ask. All right? Okay, now you're going to do science. I'm going to let Miss Park go over that with you, but I do want to explain something. The science we're doing all online, like it says. You don't have a book, we know that. But this lesson in your book that I have one, and Miss Park, we have our own book as well. It's the same thing. And you can look at the videos, review them, go through them. So here's science. We're on unit 4, and we're looking at lesson 1 under explain. Okay?
Okay, so let me go over that right now. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to Inspire Science. And so remember, if you're watching this Zoom video or this YouTube video, you don't need to go onto the science website. I'm just showing you how to get there for those of you who want to go back and review. So you would go to the module, Plants and Landscapes. And then we are doing the explain today. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the nails at the top, click on lesson 1, what plants need, because we're in lesson 1. It tells you right here, unit 4, lesson 1, explain. Then you're going to scroll down and only open up the explain page, okay? Now, all of these activities are the ones that we're gonna be talking about today. We're not gonna be doing the inquiry activity, so if you wanna do it, then that's awesome, okay? I know some I know some of you guys wanted to plant plants and grow them for the next month, and that's awesome. Send us photos, send us videos. We would love to share those with the class if you decide to do that. Or, you know, if you're just making another garden, maybe you already have a garden of plants. You can send those photos to your teacher, and then we can show them on the Zoom call, okay? So first you would do read about plants. And so we're going to actually go through and read them with you guys right now, okay?
Plants. How do plants in dark places get what they need? Plants have parts that help them survive in their environments. Roots are parts that keep plants in the ground. They take in water from the soil. Roots also take in minerals and nutrients. Minerals and nutrients help to keep living things healthy.
And then here it'll show you. Okay, I see that Enzo and Renegati, you guys are raising your hands. Please don't raise your hands right now. We will answer questions at the very end. Root, a plant part that keeps the plant in the ground. It stores food and absorbs water and nutrients. So these are the roots. It's absorbing all of these water and nutrients that these plants need to grow. Okay, then we have minerals. Mineral is naturally occurring inorganic solid with a specific chemical composition and a defined crystalline structure. So a mineral is just something that plants need. Nutrients, something that living things need to grow. So nutrients help these plants grow. So for example, like you guys need nutrients. You need nutrients so that you guys are able to grow, which is your nutrients would be like your food that you eat. So like some of you guys, I saw you guys eating cereal this morning. Those have nutrients so that it helps you grow big and strong. Okay, next one. We have water and nutrients travel through the roots and up to the stem of the plant. The stem is the plant part that holds up the plant. So the stem is the part of a plant that holds up the plant. So this is the stem right here, okay? The leaves of a plant take in air and sunlight to make food. And these are the leaves, the plant part that uses sunlight and air to make food. The plants below grow in an area with little sunlight. What do you notice about the size of the leaves in the photo? Why do you think some plants in areas with little sunlight have large leaves? So look at these huge leaves. These are plants in a tropical forest, and they get very little sunlight because if you remember the story we read while we were back in school, certain rainforests, they have like those canopy, the emergent layers, and all of those layers make it very hard for the ground of the forest floor to get sunlight because all of the leaves are so thick. So what do you guys think about these large leaves? Why do you think these leaves are so large? And you guys can write down here, and I'll write it for you guys. The large leaves, I think, help the plant take in the little sunlight they get. They get very little sunlight. So because they're so large, they're able to get more sunlight. Think about like if it was raining and I gave you a little cup, a little Dixie cup, and I said, okay, pick up as much rain as you can, and then I give you a huge, I don't know, like a huge bathtub. Who's gonna be able to collect more water? The larger the space you have, the more you can carry. Okay, and then you can click done. Are you sure? Yes, I'm gonna save that, and then I'm gonna move on. The next one, explore how plants grow in different amounts of sunlight in the simulation. Now, a lot of you guys love these simulations. You guys love doing them in class. And so if you want to do these simulations yourself, go ahead. So then you guys can click on that, and then it'll take you to tap on the picture to explore the simulation or that. And so welcome to The Growing Plant. You're here to learn about how the environment affects what a plant looks like and what it needs to grow. You will grow a plant for 30 days and discover how light and water affect its growth. Press the next button to start your first experiment. Before you start, set where the sun is coming from once with the sun slider. Then change the amount of shade with the tree slider. Change the amount of water with the rain slider. Click the play button to start growing. Try varying the shade and water during the experiment. Some of this might actually help you guys with your actual growing if you guys are planning to grow at home. So before you start, set where the sun is coming from. So I want it to come from the middle.
Before you start,
And then I'm going to make less trees, and I want to make lots of water. And let's see what happens. I'm going to click play. And I can keep, I wonder if I play again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, see, I can keep playing play until day 30. Oh, so what do you guys notice about my plant? It's getting a lot of water. It's getting a lot of sun. Uh-oh, it didn't even reach day 30. What do you think happened? Did it have enough water? Did it have enough sunlight? Try again, click the reset button.
the plant died. What do you think happened?
So I'm this time gonna make, remember how the shade actually kind of helped? So I am going to restart. And then this time, I'm gonna make actually a lot of sun. I'm gonna do like half the water. And then I'm gonna do maybe the sun coming from the side. Okay, let's see if that helps. Well, it looks like my plant's doing a little better. Uh-oh, now it's dying. Man, I am killing my plant, guys.
18 days.
Okay, I've got to make this plant grow. Anybody have some ideas, Miss Dominguez?
Well, I think the tree idea is good, but put it in the middle. And I think you need kind of a little up in the water, just a tad up. But what was happening, maybe her plant didn't need all that water and it couldn't soak it all in. And let's see what happens.
Okay, it's growing.
It's growing, but we're still, yeah, we're doing okay.
Oh, it's dying. No, don't die on me. You need a plant live for 30 days. It looks a little unhealthy though. Did it have enough water? Did it have enough sunlight? Okay, that was really stressful, guys.
It's not easy, and think of farmers having to grow all of the food that they do.
So if you guys want to do that and try to, if you guys can make a more perfect plant than me, I'm sure you can, because I'm terrible with plants. So Inquiry activity. You have observed how different amounts of sunlight change some plants. Investigate whether plants need the sun to grow. What will happen to a plant after 1 month with no sunlight on its leaves? You guys might think that it might turn yellow. Then you'll move on. Research ways to carry out the investigation. Write the materials you will use. Write the steps of your investigation. So you might tape foil over the leaves on one plant. You might place both of your plants in a sunny location. You might water them when needed. Maybe after a month, you'll remove the foil from the leaves and use a hand lens to observe the plants. And then when you're done with that, and remember, you guys don't have to do these. Describe the leaves that were covered, then describe the leaves that were not covered. You guys might notice that the leaves that were covered, maybe the leaves are kind of yellowish. And then the leaves that weren't covered, you might notice that the leaves are maybe very healthy and green because they were able to get that sunlight. Did your observations support your predictions? You might say, yes, I predicted leaves covered in foil would turn yellow, and that's what happened. And then the last question is, what can you conclude about plants and the sun? You might say that plants need sunlight to grow, okay? So that's that part. I'm gonna quickly move on to the next reading, which is gonna be plants in dry places. How do you think some plants survive in areas with little water? The plants of a cactus plant help it to survive in the dry desert. A cactus has a thick stem that stores water. The stem acts like a leaf to produce food from sunlight. Its waxy covering helps hold the water. Watch the video Roots Take in Water to see how plants get water in dry places.
Did you know that plants have a reaction to certain things, such as light, water, or gravity? Let us learn how things affect how plants grow. We can use this time-lapse video to show you. Look at these plants grow. They do not actually grow this fast, but we sped up the process so you could see it easily. Light, water, and gravity are affecting the growing plants. Plants need water to survive. These roots grow right to the water source and start taking in water. The roots provide the rest of the plant with nutrients to grow. Plant roots also grow down according to the pull of gravity. You know, gravity is that thing that keeps us on the ground. But the roots have another job, and that is to anchor the plant firmly in place underground, like this. Light helps the plant grow too. Light provides the plant with energy to help it stay strong and healthy. Because plants need light to survive, the parts of the plant above ground will grow toward the light. These flowers are all growing up toward the sun.
So Enzo just asked me a question. He says, how do we send you photos? So you have multiple ways. You can post the photo into your Dojo portfolio. You can just click add photo to your portfolio. Another way you can send a photo is through Google Classroom. Another way you can send a photo is to our email address. You can email us. Or another way to send a photo is you guys can message your teacher in whatever way, and you can also have your parents message it on Dojo, okay? So lots of different ways you can send photos. So next one is read about world's largest blooming plant. You have read that plants need sunlight and water to grow. One plant in Southern California grew to be the world's largest blossoming plant, and it's still growing. The wisteria plant started out as a small plant in 1894. It grew fast, so fast that it covered its owner's house in 1931. The plant has been named the world's largest blossoming plant by the Guinness Book of World Records. It weighs about 250 tons, and it has over 1.5 million blooms. That's a lot. So that's that. And then the last inquiry activity that you don't need to do is plants and water. You have learned that plants need light to grow. Plants plan and carry out an investigation to see whether plants need water to grow. Make a prediction. What will happen if a plant does not get any water? Well, I'm assuming you guys will say that the leaves on the plant will begin to wilt because we learned that they do need water. Choose your materials, write a procedure, do your investigation. So you might say, that you might label one plant with the word water and then one with no water. You might draw a picture of each plant. The plant labeled water for 1 week, and then do not water the plant labeled no water, and then draw a picture of each plant after a week. So that might be some of the instructions you might write. Record your data, draw your observations. So you guys can draw here. And then remember, this is all optional. What happens when plants do not get water for a long time? You might say that the plant will begin to droop and die, kind of like how mine did in that simulation. And then the last question is, did your observations support your prediction? And you might say, yes, the leaves on the plant with no water wilted and died. Okay, so that is your science lesson for today. There's nothing else that you guys need to do for today. So I think that's all. I think the only other thing is your writing, which we talked about. At least try to do one informational, one opinion, and one narrative every week. You can do your selfie writing. It is optional, or your COVID-19 writing. And then your 5 things, which you'll do, and I'm sure you guys know where it is now. You're taking your spelling practice test, your vocabulary practice test, and then in ConnectEd, you're doing grammar, mechanics, and words to know. Okay, so if you have any questions, you guys can stay on, and then if not, I'm gonna let you guys say goodbye. Let me turn off this.